The following audio, brought to you by TSF Entertainment Podcast, may contain graphic descriptions of violence and/or audio clips of violence or sexual explicit events. Listeners' discretion is advised.
What's good, TSF Entertainment Podcast fans? This is your boy RETROCG, and I'm joined tonight by my co-host, Miss REALLYBTV, Mr. JACKOFJORDANS, aka D Jackson in the house.
I said, hey, yo, what's going on?
Not much. What's going on, y'all?
Not much. Just chilling.
Not much. Interesting episode.
Interesting episode. So tonight we're here to talk about Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. And the episode is episode 9, titled Loyal to the End. Good episode.
Very good episode. It's definitely, you can definitely see how we winding down, but I'm going to be so mad at the end of next week's episode because I'm going to be ready for season 2. I feel like I'm going to be ready for season 2.
Yo, this is one of those shows that they should immediately roll into season 2. Like, we shouldn't even have a break.
We probably ain't getting
the title was perfect. The title was perfect for this week. Like, it's very understanding, and the title was perfect.
I agree, though, CP. I think we're gonna wait a whole year before we get season 2.
I don't know if it's gonna be a whole year, but it's definitely gonna be a minute. Like, we definitely know we're not getting nothing until maybe spring.
I think they're in production already for season 2.
Yeah, I think they're in production, but we got to go through the whole season of book 2, and book 2 don't even start till November. So you figure that's not going to be over till like late January, mid-February.
And plus, we got BMF starting next week as well.
Yeah, but I don't think they worried about BMF so much as overlapping like the Power.
The
series.
Power, yeah.
But if they're going straight into either Tate or Tommy's story, then we're gonna have to wait until after Tommy's story. Wait until after that. So that's why I'm saying I think spring.
I agree. Do you ever think we're going to get to a point where they're going to have more than one book on at the same time?
No,
I don't think so either. I think it would be.
I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to do it that way.
Yeah,
they don't
I think
need
for
to.
continuity purposes, I think it would just be too much of a conflict.
It would be too much going on. Like, it would be too much to focus on because the stories are not congruent. So we're going forward, then we're going backwards. Then we're going,
And Power has a slot. Power has a slot on Stars. So like, how you can't fulfill?
They all occupy the same time slot.
Yeah,
right?
You can't do that. So
now, if they came on different days, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But I kind of agree, CP. I think it would be just too much to keep up with, going forward, then backwards, then forward. Yeah, it'll be too much confusion.
I like my Sunday mornings.
Well, for us, it's more like Saturday night.
Saturday night, Sunday morning, 12 a.m. is technically Sunday morning. So Sunday midnight. So technically it's Sunday midnight.
True. All right. So this week, the episode kicks off with Marvin at the junkyard. And he's being picked up in a van by Lil Rob. So, you can see it's the aftermath of what happened last week with Lulu, the house fire and him being shot up at the house. So, we already knew that Marvin was bent for revenge.
Definitely.
So we see Unique is coming out of the movie theater with his son and, some of his crew with him, his protection. And, they just out, having a day out, like they ain't in the middle of a war. Like, they're not on high alert or anything. I mean, it's like they ain't got a care in the world, but they finna have one. Because when Marvin and Lil Rob pull up in that van, Marvin he had no fucks about it. He just started spraying up the place. Like
100-round drum.
I mean, that van circled that parking lot, and I'm like, listen, I felt sorry for anyone that was in that vicinity because I know they were in pure terror because he shot the shit up out of a unique car. But
I saw that coming though. Like Marvin is he's loyal. You know what I'm saying? Like regardless of whatever goes on with his family, he's gonna protect them, and he feels though that's his job. So I saw that coming.
Yep. And we did find out that Unique's car was bulletproof. So you remember earlier in the season where I think it was Kanan and D-Wiz when they first saw Unique pull up on the block. You know, they were talking about his car being bulletproof. So they showed us that again tonight in tonight's episode. His car was bulletproof.
Yeah.
I think he did hit one of the bodyguards or a couple of the bodyguards. I think he hit.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I had got kicked out, so okay.
He did shoot one of them in the head.
I thought he did. Yeah.
I think he got one too. Yeah.
Yeah. He dropped one definitely. I don't know how many others he dropped, but he definitely dropped one.
So I was talking with some people earlier today, and the question came up: why didn't Unique's crew get in the car and chase after him? But I think he had flattened a lot of their tires too. You know, when he was shooting up the place, so I don't think they were able to get in the car and do anything.
Well, why would you want to chase somebody who's driving around with an AK-47 and 100-round drum anyway? You don't know if he can reload, so like he can reload and come right back out that back window. You know, y'all whip's not bulletproof, so that was a good idea for him just to
sit still,
live to fight another day.
So we switched to the hospital, and we see Rock and Jessica are at Lulu's hospital bed, and you know they're kind of processing what's going on. So it was very interesting to see that Jessica was there. But what do y'all think she was there for? Y'all think she was there as a loyal girlfriend, or you just think she was there because she was concerned about a meal ticket?
Both.
I think she was there as a loyal girlfriend. I think she loves Lulu.
I'm a little bit on the fence about it, but it did look as if she was there to support him and the family and everything. So I was actually rather pleased to see that she was there, but I'm just not so sure what her intentions were.
I think she loves Lulu. I think that she just also has aspirations for other things. And yeah, I think she sees that he is a means to that end. But I think she has genuine feelings for him, though. I didn't necessarily care for her attitude because I felt like her attitude was real negative the whole time.
Okay, that's where Okay.
My thing is, if you here with a negative attitude, and then I don't really need you here. Like, you know, I just felt like she just didn't have any faith that Lulu was gonna be okay.
Yeah, because when she made the comment about if he wakes up.
Yeah. If he wakes up, and then when she was like, the doctor said he was supposed to wake up, and even when he woke up, she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't think you were gonna wake up. They said you were supposed to wake up yesterday." I'm like, damn.
And that's why I think it was both. You know, I think she was there in a supportive moral role, and also she was there because she saw that window of opportunity closing, like if Lulu passed. So I think she was there for both, personally.
I got it.
Yeah, but I do agree. I think she should have had a better. I think she should have been more positive. If anything, she should have been, there as a support to Rock. And speaking of supporting Rock, you see Symphony comes in, and I'm so sick of this dynamic between their relationship. I mean, it's obvious that he loves her and he cares about her, and every time he tries to show her that, she pushes him away. And I got a little frustrated with her on that because, he shows up to the hospital, and of course she's like, "Well, how'd you know where I was?" And he was like, "Kanan told me where you were." And she was like, "Well, if I wanted you here, I would have called you here." I get it. I understand. And, she's got a lot on her right now. So she's processing, and obviously their relationship is real close. Her, Marvin, and Lulu, even though they are always at each other's throats, the love and affinity that they have towards each other kind of like just overpowers everything. So she's just like really frustrated at this point, of what's happened to Lulu. She kind of feels responsible for it. But at the same time, how do you go from wanting to have this man's baby to kicking him to the curb? I didn't understand her reaction.
She felt like she was living a dream, honestly. And I get where she was coming from, but at the same time, I think like she just got away from the gangster shit because she was pursuing what she thought that she needed at the time. And I don't know like the history between DEFCON and
High Post.
Detective Howard. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, High Post and Detective Howard. That like when we out on the ins and outs of that, but she just felt like herself, like she was slipping, and she to get back to business.
Now, see, I have a totally different view than what y'all are saying. Yeah, I think what Rock was doing in that moment. I think she was trying to protect
Protect
Symphony.
him. Okay.
I think that she was breaking up with him because, like she kept saying, she said about 3 or 4 times this episode, they must have forgot who the fuck I was. And even when she said, when she was in the chapel and Marvin was like, you praying for forgiveness of your past sins, she was like, no, I'm praying for forgiveness for what I'm about to do. And I really feel like she's pushing him away so he doesn't get caught up in whatever is about to happen next. So he has plausible deniability. He can't say he knew anything, he was anywhere around it. Like, I really feel like that's what she was doing. Like, I know it was a hard way to do it, but if she had said to him, Symphony, things about to get hot, I'm gonna need you to stay away from me for a while, he wouldn't have done it. So I really feel like that's what she did in that moment. I could be wrong, but I think she absolutely does love him, and but I do think that part of what she said was right too. Was I allowed myself to forget that I can't get out of this life,
and I'm
like,
not in a normal life.
right. But I also think that part of her pushing him away was in her mind protecting him.
Okay, so I kind of understand what you're saying, CP. DJ, I kind of agree because we don't know what the level of her relationships in comparison with High Post and DEF CON. I don't think her and Detective Howard had a relationship. I just, for whatever
Mash
reason,
and Dash.
I think so. For whatever reason, they end up being involved. I don't think it was a relationship. Whereas with DEF CON, it was just a relationship by appearances. I think her real serious relationship was with High Post because, I mean, he was pretty much the one that was kind of looking after her, teaching her the game and everything. And plus, he was part of the life.
Right.
So
Right.
Symphony is not part of the life. So I kind of agree with what you're saying because we've said this in other episodes that we feel as though he's going to be collateral damage, just like we saw with Nicole.
Right. And I think she's trying to avoid that. But I'm gonna say this about Detective Howard. And again, this is me, my 20 on 10 moment. I think there was a relationship there, but I think for her it was real. I think for him he was playing her all along. Remember, he was an undercover cop. She was a young girl. I think that he was making a move on her to get information,
to try to get close.
Yeah, but I think from her point of view, in that moment, I think, and that's, but I think
and she was young. And she was young.
I think that's why she hates his ass so much. Because remember, the relationship with DEFCON was never real. So she didn't have any love for him like that. It was never romantic. So I think I think her relationship with Howard, for her, from her point of view, was real. And then when she found out he was a cop, I think that was the betrayal, because I don't think she knew he was a cop while they were dating.
No, because remember, they made a point to say that he was undercover. So
right, that's what I'm saying. So I think, and that's why she threw it back at him last week when he said whatever he said, and she was like, yeah, but you was messing with me. You was a cop. You was messing with me. And he was like, undercover, so I feel like, just from that point of view, that's what I think it is. But again, they didn't give us anything to support that. That's just my opinion, because the venom that she has for him, I feel like it comes from that place of a broken heart kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later, but that's a different perspective, because I have a different perspective as to why she has such venom towards him. But we see as she's breaking up with Symphony again, which feels like it's the 20th time, but really it's probably like their second.
It's only the second time.
Even after he tells her, you know what, fuck you. Even as he's going out the door, he still tries to give her that information that I feel like he was trying to have a conversation with her. Because when he was like, I want to talk to you about all of this, I think in that conversation, the whole situation with Tony Deep would have came up. But he pretty much tells her as he's walking off, like, listen, tell Marvin that Tony can't be trusted. she really didn't process that. I mean, she thought about it for a second and then went on back to her other thoughts. But she really didn't process what he really meant by that. But we knew what he meant by that. And he was trying to put her on
I don't
game.
even think
He was
I don't
dropping
even
the
think
jewel on her.
Yeah,
right.
he
I don't
was.
even think Rock knew like that he was even still dealing with like the club is so far in the back of her mind. They ain't dealt with the club since she killed the dog. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't think she
Hell,
even
did he
realized
actually know that they was fucking around?
right. I don't even think that was even a thought on her mind. So for when he threw it out there, she probably was even thinking, "Who the hell is Tony? Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah, that was the furthest thing from her mind. But we saw that Symphony did what we said he was going to do. He was going
Right.
to alert them.
I forgot to put that in my review. Damn. But yeah, he did.
And speaking of which, let's just talk about it for just a second. Rocknum has they have got a lot of threats right now. I mean, you got Detective Howard, he's a big threat. You got Unique, he's a big threat. Tony is a big threat. They have a Davina, low key is a threat.
I looked at it as London Bridges is falling down. That's the way I looked at it. I looked at it like
when I got
to go wrong, it's going wrong.
Right. When I got to the end of this episode, all I was thinking was, damn, like how they gonna overcome like I was just thinking they got a mountain in front of them. How they gonna overcome this shit? Like that's all I was thinking when I got to the end. Like I want to see Rock win, but I don't know how. I'm like,
how's she going
how they gonna do
at
that
this point?
Right? How they gonna do that in an hour? Like,
I got
because she's got a lot of threats looming, and she can't close any of these loose ends. I mean, all these loose. Every time she gets close to trying to close a loose end, it just creates a bigger problem. And so
I only have one theory, but we'll get there at the end. I only got one theory, which we kind of already said. But
I mean, the biggest problem is you know who, and that's where it all goes back to him.
Or Kanan.
Unique?
Yeah, it all goes back to Kanan.
Oh,
yeah.
Well.
And I don't know what, unless we see a dramatic change in him in the last episode, I don't know if that's going to get any better, because even today I feel like he botched up, and we'll get to that point. But even today I feel like he fucked up shit.
Yeah, he definitely did.
So you see Lil Rob and Marvin, they pull back up to the junkyard, and Lil Rob is like, shit, did you know that Unique's car was bulletproof? And Marvin was like, I heard some chatter.
Yeah.
And he pulled a gat out on him. He pulled a gat out on him. Be like, you know how this shit work. But it kind of goes back to what Kanan was narrating at the beginning of the episode about loyalty and about how everybody,
even the person next to you,
exactly, even the people that you think that's down for you or say that they down for you, they not really. They all for themselves. The only thing that really matters is family. And so at the end of the day, we had said that last week, CP. You remember you had said that all that capping that he was doing was going to come back to him because he was snitching.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he was snitching on Kanan. So at the end of the day, he's a risk to the organization. He may not have been, in his mind, he may have thought that he wasn't doing any harm to the family because he wasn't snitching on Marvin. But snitching on my nephew is bringing unwanted attention from the feds, from the police over here to us. So either way, you're a liability. You got
it's the same thing to him. Same thing in Marvin's head.
Yep.
But it cracked me up was when dude's talking and Marvin just letting them talk, and he was like, ain't none of this shit moving me, right? Like, nothing that you saying is changing what's getting ready to happen. Like,
and he blasted his head off.
Yeah, he did.
As he should have.
As he should have, right?
You rat bastard.
And so he set the van on fire, and we see Marvin
drive off in that shot up, beat up, smashed up fucking car. What is wrong with Marvin?
I'm rooting for Marvin.
I'm rooting for Marvin. Well, I'm rooting for Marvin too, but Marvin will have to be a better father now. I got a big issue with Marvin in this episode, but what we're seeing is Marvin is he's coming off a hinge. I mean, at the end of the day, and he kind of said it when they got to the chapel. He's frustrated. He's frustrated with how everyone views him.
That was the best conversation.
Older brother. That was the best conversation to have.
That was the best. That was probably the most honest conversation. That was probably the most honest and heartfelt we've seen Marvin, and I was here for it. I was absolutely here for it. What
we see is he's frustrated. So, and that's that's a problem for everybody that's involved with Marvin right now. Anyone that's got any dealings with Marvin, they got a major problem on their hands right now, because Marvin is just in straight savage mode right now. He just gives no fucks. And and it's like he told Rock, like, listen, I'm your older brother. That'll make me feel good as a man to be taking orders from my sister.
Are we gonna wait a minute, hold on. Are we just gonna go ahead and talk about it now? I mean, I know we out of sequence, but we're gonna go ahead and just talk about that scene.
Well, I guess we can go ahead. I mean, we can go ahead and talk about it, since that's such a
we already talking about it. I just didn't want to. Yeah,
that's why I said, since we already talking about it, we can go ahead and bust it down.
Go ahead, David.
Or do you want me to go ahead and get to the next one?
Well, to me, I think that's like one of the biggest parts of this episode, one of the most significant parts of this episode, because it like is undignified the way they treat him. Like the way they talk to him and the way that they do him. Even though that we know that he's a fuck up, but they don't have to constantly remind him that he's a fuck up or let him know where his flaws
at. Too, yes.
And let him know
never
every flaw that he has.
Yeah.
It like give him the respect for the shit that he does do right, the orders or the hits and everything else that he does do right. But y'all just want to point out everything that he does wrong, which I think, in reality is fucked up. When really, Rock, your son is the cause of a lot of shit, a lot of your problems that you got going on right now.
Not a lot.
It ain't Marvin.
It's all of them.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just reacting to. Everybody is just reacting to all the confusion that Kanan has caused. So I'll double back to that, because I got some things to say about that too. I'll double back to that, but I agree. And we also saw in this moment too that Marvin was reacting on his own accord. He wasn't taking orders from anyone. He didn't get nobody's permission. This is what he decided to do as a man. So this was his decision.
You can't tell him how to take care of his family.
Yep. So we next at the hospital now. So we over here at the hospital, and shout out to the makeup artist and the team, because we see Detective Howard when he's walking up, still smoking cigarettes. No, he ain't supposed to.
Yeah.
But the makeup was on point with him, because he looked really sick. Like he really looked bad.
I said the same thing in my review. Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me, because I said that in my review. I said it looks like they're making him look sick. Like his face was a little ashen. He had dark spots.
The dark spots,
yeah. He definitely looks like he's sick. He absolutely.
No, I took that exactly as that's what they were trying to show us, that he's progressing worse. Because you remember in a couple episodes, the doctor, when he ran up on the doctor and she told him he looked bad.
Yeah.
From that episode to this one, he looks worse.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely
So I think that's what they're trying to show us, is this is why he's so desperate about trying to get this whole situation resolved with Kanan, because he is progressively getting worse.
Right.
And I just can't see how nobody else is not noticing him. Like Bert and everyone else that's interacting with him, even Rock, her conversation with him looked like you would think she would have commented to it by now, like, yo, you look bad. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, right.
I'm surprised she hasn't figured it out yet, that something is wrong with him. Why all of a sudden you're so interested in Kanan and all this rhetoric, and you look sick. What's up with this? I would have thought that she would have put two and two together by now, or at the very least have suspicions that there's something more going on than him just wanting to know that I'm your father. So we see these two hoodlums pull up to the hospital, and I knew from before the nurse even came out uniform, I said they here for no good. And so,
oh yeah, they look like they was up to something.
Yeah, they look like they was up to no
guilty.
Good.
They look guilty.
Yeah, they look, before they even did anything, they looked like they needed to have been arrested. For real. Right. So we see this little nurse come up out the hospital, and she got a little plastic bag with her, and it's too.
And she looked nervous too. She looked like she was up to something too.
Yep, she looked like she didn't even need to be there, right? She don't even look like she's supposed to be working at the hospital. The way she was looking, yeah, she was looking like she was all suspicious. And he out here broad daylight in front of everybody. Ain't nobody trying to look around to see if anybody was watching.
Right, y'all couldn't have pulled around to the back parking lot. Like, y'all right in front of the hospital. Like,
and then what makes it so bad, y'all didn't even try to look to see if there was anybody else out and about or around. Even for the nurse, you didn't even try to peep to see if there was any coworkers out there. you just walk out to them, give them a bag with 2 uniforms in it and 2 badges, and they give you money in broad daylight, and she just turn around, walk back in. So Detective Howard is peeping all this, so he already put 20 on 10 and said, okay, yep, these are hitters for Unique. So by the time they pan back to the spot where he was standing there smoking, he goes.
He was gone. Yeah,
he was gone. And you're right, it was the entrance. I mean, y'all could at least whip the street.
Right, because he was finishing up his cigarette before he was going to walk in the hospital.
He was getting ready to walk in the hospital. He was finishing the cigarette, and that's when he peeped all that.
And like you told Rod, he's like, "You lucky I still smoke." Like,
because man.
And so we see Rock back at the room. She's looking at Lulu. She has a little bit of guilt on her face. I mean, she's just worried. She's concerned. And
she should be.
Yeah, she should be. And you see the 2 orderlies, where the 2 hoodlums, they're coming in dressed as orderlies with some takeout food or whatever the case may be. All they did was show the bag to the cops that was there stationed there at the hospital. At this point, the whole police force needs to be up there at the hospital because Rock keeps somebody up there every week. So I just wonder how she answers these questions every time she's at this hospital.
Listen, as long as the bill paid, I guess they like whatever.
I guess,
man,
she keep that hospital busy.
She could get the frequent flyer playing something,
for real.
Some points or some mileage points.
She got to have her own reserved room at the hospital.
Right. She got a whole suite.
Yeah, she got a whole wing. This is the Raquel Thomas wing right here. She's guaranteed to have about 3 or 4 people here at a time. So she look up the hallway to look for the cop that's supposed to be posted outside Lulu's door. We see him up there talking to the nurse that had just went outside to give the uniform up. So do you think that was her trying to create a distraction for the police officer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she goes back in the room. She's not really too pressed about it because as long as he's within eye view, she feels safe. They feel safe. You see the orderlies come up the hallway, and now they got a gurney, and they get into the elevator, and we see them take the guns out and they put the silencers on. This was not a bad plan, but a stupid plan. Because first of all, y'all sent the wrong 2 up there to the hospital because they look suspicious. These big ass,
they don't look like orderlies. They don't look like orderlies. They look like they off the fucking corner. They look like corner boys.
And all I was thinking was, and again, I know it's 1991, so maybe I'm tripping, but all I was thinking was, they got cameras on the elevators, right? Like that's all I was thinking.
It's 1991.
I don't know about that. I was thinking about that too. I don't think that they have cameras in elevators.
Yeah, 1991. I ain't really sure.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe not in 1991, but I'm saying that's what I was thinking in my mind at the time. Like,
but we see them get off the elevator, and old girl gave him all the information. She don't told him what room he in. She don't got the uniform, so she's definitely an accessory. So I was so glad to see her.
Oh yeah, it's a wrap for her.
Yeah, it's a wrap for her. So when they get to Lulu's room, they pull back the curtain. They don't move Lulu. So Detective Howard and the cops, they come in and arrest them, for an assassination attempt, attempted murder, and they arrest the nurse, which I was so glad to see them that they had arrested the nurse because she thought she had got away with it. But you see Rock's crew, Rock got to get better with her crew, man. She needs some better workers working for her because they sit up there in the waiting room. You mean tell me ain't nobody peeped these 2 hoods walking by? They should have got up and came out and saw what was going on. But the hood, the workers, they in the waiting room.
I really don't know what that's about. Like you got to be.
But
more
I think
she needs better workers. She needs some better workers.
But I think by the time they got off the elevator, I think they already knew what was up. I think by the time those dudes got off the elevator, Lulu was already. Oh,
I get what you're saying. You're saying that
waiting, so they wanted it to look as normal as possible. They couldn't.
Got it.
That's why they let the cop be distracted. Because for real. If he really had allowed himself to be distracted, he's supposed to be off that case. But we see him later on. We see him. So I feel like all of that was to make it look
part
like
of the plan.
Right, everything was going according to plan.
Yep. Okay, I never thought about it like that. Okay, so because that was giving me a little bit of frustration because not one, the cop wasn't paying attention. 2,
right. I think that
the workers weren't paying attention. I'm like, well, damn. I mean, good thing that Detective Howard was up there. It was sad to see what happens to him after what he did for them. So we switched back to the police station. I think we talked about this a little bit last week, CP, but I don't think we spent too much time on it. But I don't know if it was you or Marvin or maybe even you, DJ. Somebody was very adamant about this lady, that mama, Nicole's mama, not going away quietly, that she was still going to be a problem. Because I remember responding to that by saying, well, she gave away the evidence. So, I mean, how can she continue?
I think that might have been Marvin.
Yeah, how can she continue to try to pursue this when she gave away the vial? But we see that she's back up there at the police station questioning Bert. So we did get confirmation that Bert was the one.
Bert was the one, yeah.
That called.
I said she was the one.
Yep. You did.
Yep, that we said let her go. And the mama is up there just making a scene. But we really did get confirmation from the father this go round. We really did. We had suspicions that the father wasn't with the shits. But we got 100% confirmation tonight that, you know, everything that she was accusing Jukebox of, the father was like, well, we don't know that to be true. You know, we don't know that she hadn't been doing drugs. We don't know. Right. So, you know, he wasn't necessarily defending Jukebox, but at the same time, he was trying to tell his wife, listen, you up here making a fool out of yourself and out of us. Like, you don't know, you know.
But I think he absolutely knows. I think that he's saying it like that to protect the mother, but I think he absolutely knows. I think he knew his daughter was gay, and I think that he knew his daughter at least smoked weed. I'm not saying he knew his daughter was on hard drugs, but that's just how I feel, because he's too
reserved.
Yeah, like even last week, even if you go all the way back to that when we first saw Jukebox at the house and he came in and they were singing, like even then he was like, oh, look at this, what's this? Like, I feel like he just knew.
He's more down to earth than that mama. That mama is rich, white, high society, privileged, and she even shows her to be that when she made that comment about I know people in high places that won't accept something like this happening to a family like ours. So
yep.
Whereas that father, he not like that. He kind of low key, laid back, go with the flow type shit. But Bert didn't seem like she was pressed. They didn't seem like, even though she had the whole department looking down at her or whatever the case may be at this whole scene.
Bert was making
a scene. She was not bothered at all.
Unmoved.
She was not bothered at all. She was like, "Okay, you finish, because you can leave."
Yeah, she was unbothered by all of that. That was cracking me up.
I was so glad they arrested that ghetto ass Aunt Mama looking nurse. I mean, she fucked up her good job at the hospital.
Why are we back at the nurse? How we get back on the nurse?
Because I was just thinking about how pitiful she looked when they was. I was just thinking about how pitiful she looked when they were taking her ass off handcuffs. That shit was funny. But we did see, and I forgot to hit on this. That's why I kind of went back to the nurse. But Detective Howard and Rock, they had another conversation at the hospital, and he's a little bit more insistent on her arranging that meet between her and him and Kanan. And he reiterated again that if you or your brother show up and nobody else is there but Kanan, I'm gonna wet all y'all up.
I'm gonna wet that bitch up.
So he's desperate, and Kanan says it in the narration that he's desperate at this point. And I thought Rock was processing in that moment that she would figure out what the fuck was up, but she just took it as what it was, a threat, and I'm going to deal with it accordingly.
And I knew then what the plan was going to be. I said,
so going back to last week, before all this happened with Lulu, do you think that the batter up phone call was for him?
Yeah.
Do you think that?
But not for Kanan. I think Lulu was supposed to do it.
I think Lulu was supposed to do it too.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. Do you think Lulu was supposed to be Kanan this week?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. 100%.
So we're on the same page there, because a lot of people I was talking with last week were saying that she was calling batter up on Marvin. I don't think that she was.
No, not at all.
Because the first phone call she made was for him to go get that dry cleaning, was to go get a jacket. And then when she called later on that night before his house got shot up and burnt up,
it was to go get Unique.
It was to go get it was go
go get
Detective Howard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we on the same page.
I think that was absolutely the conversation. But my thing is this, and that's the thing about it. I don't think that Kanan was ever a part of the original plan. I think that her intention was to give her to Detective Howard before she actually had to make any arrangements for this meetup.
With Kanan, but involve Kanan at all.
Right. Yeah. But with Lulu getting hurt, that kind of...
She had to call the audible.
Yeah.
Plan B. Yep.
Yeah, she had to call audible. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we see Jukebox is still grieving, and she's at the burial site for Nicole. Why she hadn't opened this letter yet and read this letter? Yeah, I think she's afraid to open it. Part of me feels like she's kind of afraid to open the note. This is her last message from Nicole, but she keep carrying this note around. But she hasn't.
I could see that.
We haven't seen her open it yet and read actually what the contents was, but we see Bert approaching her, and everything that me and you had said, CP, it came out in this conversation, about her being a lesbian,
right?
About her being familiar with what Jukebox is going through right now. She went through a similar situation with her family and her first love. So we learned a lot of details that's foreshadowing that Burke and Jukebox are going to have some type of relationship. I don't think it's going to be a physical relationship, but I think that they're going to have some type of relationship going forward.
But I think like Jukebox peeped that she was kind of like, running game
using
on her
that,
too, yeah, she was running game on her too. Like, let me tell you my story in relation to your story or whatever points in my life, whatever bullet points I can find in my life. If I could do it, it's a relationship with your story. Then maybe you could open up to me and I can get
information.
I can get information to her. And I think Jukebox is kind of like was like, all right,
Jukebox
see where it go.
Jukebox beat that lady game from.
Oh yeah, she saw it.
Yeah,
I was surprised that she even went with her to go get the damn Italian ice. I was like, that.
I didn't think she was going to get the ice cream either. I thought she was going to walk off. Yeah. But at the same time, Jukebox, I think the only reason why she did go because she needed to find out what this lady was after. And you saw what she did right after that. She went and told Rock what was up. So I think she needed to go with her to find out, okay, why do you keep pressing up on me? This is the second time you don't roll up on me. Okay, you obviously after my family about something. So let me find out, how much you do know so I can go ahead and put my family on point on what's going on. But I think the lady at the same time, I think she was trying to do a little bit of both. I think she was trying to start a relationship or build a friendship with Jukebox, but at the same time, she was trying to lower her guard, like you were saying, DJ, to get information out of her.
Now, let me ask y'all a question. I don't know if you can say this, Chris. And about that, the blue tops that Kanan, tracing back to Kanan. Did Jukebox look surprised to y'all?
I think she knew. She knew already.
I don't think she knew. I understand. I know what we said last week, but the look on her face, like I know she knew that her family was responsible for the blue tops, but I don't think she knew.
She knew that Kanan had cooked it.
Right, because last week when Kanan was like, "Oh my God, I don't even know what to say," she was like, "You ain't got to say nothing. Don't worry about it." She was like, "I can't blame you." She was like, "It's just this fucked up life we in." Now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm like, she knows that her family was responsible for the blue tops as far as the organization, but I don't think she knew that Kanan cooked it.
I never thought about it.
I mean, and I don't know that, but it just her face didn't look like,
she processed that comment. Even though she didn't respond to it.
Right. She was like, Kanan wouldn't do that. He wouldn't have nothing to do with that. And I really think that was genuine. I don't think that was, I'm not telling the cop nothing. I think that was a genuine response. Like, no, he wouldn't have done that.
But I think when she find out that he actually did it, it's really
exactly. That's
flip
what
her
I
shit
think.
upside down.
Yep. That's why I said that. I feel like it was more to that, but it could just be me. But it just her face. She looked like she was shocked by that information.
Yeah,
she was. It definitely caught her off.
She's gonna ask him though.
I think there's still a conversation to be had about these blue tops. Yeah, if anything, she's going to want the confirmation from Kanan herself. Are you responsible for this?
Right, and we know Kanan ass ain't gonna be able to lie. He's gonna be written all over his face.
But then part of me kind of truly feels like she can't really blame him for it at all because, I mean, I just don't understand why she would have been carrying it around with her, first off. But at the end of the day, they're kids, and nobody was thinking with any sense of rationality whatsoever because at the end of the day, Kanan shouldn't have been walking around with a trophy anyway because we see that he still had some of the blue tops later on that night when he was sitting there watching Arsenio Hall. and Rock had came in and was pressing on him about the restaurant, how he was where he had got the money from to pay for the meal. You saw that he was playing with one of the Blue Tops then. So I'm like, why are you even walking around with this shit on you? And Rock told you when she first showed you how to cook that this is cardinal rule number 1: you never sling out of where you live. So why are you bringing this shit home with you to begin with? Like a souvenir. That was just stupid and just.
But that's exactly what it was. He's a kid, and he was proud of what he did. That was his first work. He cooked it up. He thought he did the damn thing.
Yeah,
So for him, it was just a souvenir of this is my shit. This is because remember, until it started killing people, he was proud of that shit.
Yep.
Yeah. He said he nice around the triple beam.
Yep. Well,
I just think that's. I mean, I know what you're saying, and again, we making logical sense out of a 15-year-old kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. We thought that Tariq made a mess of things, but we truly do see where Kanan has just made a mess for his whole family.
Yeah, basically.
They still too different, even though people still come to me and be like, well, how can you not like Tariq? But I get into that later.
So we see, speaking of Kanan, we see him finally show up to the hospital to check on his uncle. And one thing what kind of takes me to the adult version of Kanan don't really care about nobody, but his mama. It seems like that's the only person that he really truly cares about, because he didn't seem to have the level of concern that I would have expected him to have had for his uncle, other than why did they move the room. And of course they start having a conversation about the whole D-Wiz thing, and he kind of stopped Rock before she even, because I feel like she was trying to make things right, because they hadn't had a discussion about that because so much other stuff had don't happen. Right. So she was trying to clear the air about the whole D-Wiz thing and her killing him and why she did it, and he's like he understood, or whatever case may be. And so they started having a conversation about what happened earlier. The guys came up to the hospital and tried to shoot up the place and everything, and and then of course Kanan avails his services for the family and says, oh, I'm down for whatever, just use me how you want to. And I think in that moment she finally came to the realization that I'm going to have to put him in the game. I don't want to, I didn't want to, but I have no choice at this point. I'm going to have to utilize him. So I think she starts coming up with a plan, on how she can utilize Kanan. And so you see Burke and Jukebox, they are at the little Italian ice spot. And she make the reference to Kanan and the Blue Tops and everything, and Jukebox, tell her to leave her alone and stop following me and everything, because really Burke is out of pocket anyway, because she's talking to a minor. She's talking to a minor without parental consent and everything. So, I mean, any information she do get from Jukebox, she can't use it. I mean, you're talking to a minor. So, so it kind of takes me back to what I was saying earlier about her character analysis, is that I feel like she is a straight up cop. But, we're starting to see her do a little bit of Angela Valdez type stuff, where she's kind of, using her authority and using her position to kind of color outside the lines to get information. Because, for one, she should not have told them to release her. Two,
I was about to say, do you think I hate to cut you off, but do you think she's doing that in order to further her career, so it won't seem like it was just handed to her because of who her father was?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Because we saw back in Power, a lot of what Angela did wasn't necessarily to support Ghost per se. A lot of it ended up happening that way, where it did end up benefiting from her inside information and some of the underhanded shit that she was doing. But she wasn't necessarily doing it for him. She was doing it for herself, because she was trying to make a name for herself at the AUSA's office. And so I think the same thing is going on with Burke here. I think Burke is so busy trying to live out of the shadow of her family and law enforcement that she's trying to make a name for herself. So she wants to solve this case. She wants to get this case under her belt and, be known for being a good detective, and not necessarily for her family. So I think that's what her ultimate motivation is. But I think she is going to be drawn to Jukebox simply because they share that connection of, discovering who who they were at a young age. So a part of her can relate to what Jukebox is going through, but I also think that she's using that as leverage to see what she can do to move his case forward. So CP, what you think about that?
I mean, she's trying to solve a case. Like, I think part of it is
and at this point is almost like a RICO case because she's trying to tie all this stuff in together. She's trying to tie in Buck 20, the Blue Caps, the Stash House, D-Wiz. So she at this point she feels
she got to die too.
Yep. I don't know if she's gonna die per se, but
she gotta die though.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think we can still get some use out of her. And we see what Jukebox did later on in the episode. So I still think there's use for her. I don't think they're going to get rid of her just yet, especially if they're getting rid of Detective Howard. If they're getting rid of Detective Howard and Burke, all we're going to do is get another detective that's going to investigate them. So I think we're going to keep her for a little bit. I don't think they're going to get rid of her just yet.
Yeah, they probably keep her for a little bit, but she needs to die. She needs to go away.
She's a threat. She's another threat.
She's a threat to the family.
She's another threat.
Yeah.
I think she's around a little bit longer.
I think
she's definitely gonna be around a little bit longer. But she's needed, like, theoretically,
the closer she gets to the truth, the more she's at risk.
The closer she should be to dying.
Because especially with Marvin, Marvin will do her in a minute. So, Marvin would do her with no thoughts whatsoever. She'll get done. Or I think Jukebox may.
I was about to say Juke might do her in.
Yeah,
but that was part of my predictions. But
Jukebox might.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But okay.
So we get to the chapel at the hospital, and we have this very, very important conversation between Marvin and Raquel. Marvin steps in. He says, "It's a little too late to be asking God for forgiveness about all the shit you done did." And like CP said, she was like, "Nah, I'm asking for forgiveness for what I'm gonna do." So I think she's processing in this moment that she's first off, she's finna ask her son to commit murder. Second off, she's finna ask her son to kill his father. So, that was heavy on her mind, whether she wanted it to be or not. Ultimately, it was very heavy on her mind.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I mean, when you put it that bluntly, you like, yeah, that was a lot. That was some heavy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, she can have all this disdain towards him, whatever. If it was Lulu or Marvin that was doing him in, she wouldn't be so reticent about it. But the fact that she's able to ask her 15-year-old son that she's been trying to keep out of being involved in all this bullshit, the fact that she now has to rely on him to get the job done, that's heavy on her mind because she don't know how this shit fit to go. And so, she's really sitting here processing this shit. And so when Marvin sit down, Marvin said, well, it turns out that nigga shit really is bulletproof. And she's like, listen, he was like, well, my little Rob head ain't. And she's like, listen, I told you to stand down. I told you not to get involved. I was already got a play in line to take care of Unique. And that's when he tells her, listen, I'm a man. You're not going to tell me how to protect my family. I don't work for you no more.
He was like, I don't work for you no more.
Yeah, I don't work for you no more. And so, we have a very powerful conversation because we learned that Marvin raised her and Lulu. Where I guess they're alluding to the fact that their parents was on the shit.
Well, yes and no. Like,
break that down for me, CP. Because I felt like he was saying that their parents were addicts.
That's what I felt.
That's what I thought in that moment. But then at the end of the episode, when we get the scene with the mom, then I was like, well, maybe they was talking about they were so caught up in the church. People can get caught up in the church and it'd be like an addiction just like anything else. And they, maybe they was caught up in church and they wasn't really, but I don't know, maybe they're in church now because they were addicts and, some people, they get saved and all that. So I don't know, but I saw a different perspective once we met the mom. Okay. But I don't know. That's how I took it in that moment, though. In that moment, I took it as their parents was on drugs. That's how I took it in the moment.
Okay. So we'll get to that scene, too, because I have a lot of thoughts about that as well. So I kind of share that opinion with you. But Marvin pretty much lets her know, it's like you were saying, DJ, he pretty much lets her know that, listen, first off, I'm down for the family. I'm loyal. I'm down for the family. I'll do whatever I need to do. I understand that I'm in a position right now where I got to take orders or whatever. However, you got to give me some shit that's my own. You got to let me have something that's my own. I can't call no shots in the organization. I'm taking orders from my little sister. You got me out here looking like a fool. And, you know, he's trying to resolve his issues from the past. Like, yeah, I might have fucked up, and I made some mistakes or whatever the case may be. But I'm trying to outlive that. But we saw them make up, which we had said last week. They were going to find peace. They were going to get back.
Right.
What happened to Lulu was going to bring them back together.
Right, because I don't think she ever had any intention of killing Marvin. Like, I think that was one of the questions a minute ago. I don't think she ever had any intention of killing Marvin. I think she
was upset, and she reacts off her anger.
Right, because if she was going to kill Marvin, remember, and I think he did that on purpose. Remember when she went to the apartment last week to go visit him, he knew what was up, and he turned his back on her. Marvin know better than that, but I think he turned his back on her because I guess he was like, if she about to shoot me, she going to shoot me in the back. Like, I really feel like in his mind, and that's when she hit him with the damn 2x4. Like, and again, if she was trying to hurt him, she'd hit him upside the head with that shit. Like, he gave her the opportunity if that's what she was doing. And I don't think that she had any intention of killing him, because if she was going to kill him, she'd have done it. You know what I'm saying? So, but what the most important, or not important, but the most profound statement in that conversation for me was when Marvin said to her, "You're better at this than I am. I accept that." And she was like, "No." He said, "No." He said, "You are. You're better at this. You see shit that I don't see. You
think
have
shit that I can't think."
Right. You think. He said, but I'm still a man. And I was like, that's it right there. Is like y'all was saying, you got it right. You got to let me be a man. You got to give me something.
It's a respect thing.
Right. Exactly. So yeah.
And it's pretty much not only that, but the fact that he feels obligated to be their protector, you know, because he's taken this role as their big brother / father very serious over the years. That, you know, he's had to look after them or whatever. So he now feels like he's not in a position where he can take care of his family anymore, you know, and he's kind of lost control of that narrative where, you know, the family is out of control and I'm not doing anything to help the family. So he feels useless. He feels unused. And he's pretty much trying to let her know that, listen, you're going to have to put me in the game, and you're going to have to put me in a spot where, you know, I can do what I'm good at doing. You know, you're good at shit. I'm good at shit. You know, we need to work more together to, you know, take care of the family. And so we see Detective Howard, and he's, we had already said this. We put this together from that first encounter with Kanan when he found out that, you know, he was his father. He's at the doctor's office now telling the doctor he's getting ready to meet his son for the first time tonight. I was like, oh God, I hope you don't give her too much information, because what's happening, you know, she gonna be able to shed some light on this. And that conversation may still come back to haunt them, because I mean, he gave her enough information, but not enough. You know. So
and it was meeting tonight and all the other shit.
Yeah.
And then she reiterated with him that he needed to get permission from the mother or the guardian to be able to extract bone marrow or whatever the case may be. So we know that that's his number one motive, is the bone marrow, and not necessarily establishing a relationship with Kanan, because if he did not need this bone marrow, I don't think he could care less about wanting to father this child. So I think that's his only motivation whatsoever. I don't think that he has any motivation for wanting to be in Kanan's life. And because of the life that they live, he can't never be Kanan's father, because Kanan and his family are in the streets. He's in law enforcement. That ain't gonna be a good mix. So either he'll get killed behind it, or either Kanan will get killed behind it. Either way, they couldn't have this fairy tale father and son type relationship ever.
Right. Both of them understand that that's a death sentence. Like, both of them are clear about that.
Yep. So you see Jukebox over at the hospital. She goes to visit Lulu, and her and Jessica have a conversation. Again, I felt like Jessica still wasn't as supportive as she needed to be about his current condition. And so, you know, Rock comes in And she hugs Jukebox and she's like, "I'm sorry, what happened about your friend? Jessica told me about what happened to your friend or whatever." And I don't even think she realizes that it's Kanan's bad crack that did it. So I agree with what you're saying, Crystal. I don't think that everybody realizes that, because this happened in the hood. This bad crack shouldn't have made it to Manhattan.
And it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have made it to Manhattan except for
not over 20 valves.
Jukebox. Right.
Yep.
Right. But for the fact that Jukebox, because remember, that's why Marvin was like, shut this shit down, burn it. It can't, like he said, it start killing white people, motherfuckers gonna care. Like
And so we see Jukebox pulls Rock to the side like, "Yo, we need to have a conversation." And she goes and tells her about the conversation that she had with this white lady detective. She said, "This white lady detective though came visit with me twice. She asked some questions. She trying to say that Kanan is responsible for the blue tops." And Rock says, that shit ain't true or whatever. So Rock is trying to act as if he's not responsible for it as well. So I kind of agree with what you're saying now, Chris. Now that I think about it, because I think everyone thinks that because this is a little rich white girl up in Manhattan, this can't have anything to do with Kanan's bad crack, but we know that it does.
Right.
And so we see a powerful conversation between the two of them, because you would think that Rock would have been upset about the fact that lady was asking all them kind of questions, but she kind of pretty much tells Jukebox that sound like this police like you. And Jukebox says, "I ain't no friends with no cop," but Rock pretty much tells her sometimes it's good to have police friends. Yeah. So she was planting a seed right there. That
and I knew then that she was going to use Jukebox to pass messages. Yeah, I didn't know what the message was at the time, but I knew then that's what that was. I was like, okay,
to either pass messages or to extract information. How much does this lady really know?
Keep her in her
pocket. She to us, right?
Exactly.
Keep her in your pocket.
Exactly.
Yep. So we see Marvin and Kanan over to Marvin's house, and Marvin is getting the guns ready to get out on the street. I think he was altering the mechanisms inside of them. So
they was filing off the serial numbers,
getting rid of the serial numbers and all that good stuff. So he pretty much was telling Kanan that, "Listen, you finna strap up. You finna be out here on these streets. You DEFCON son. It's time for you to start acting like it." So I don't even think that the family really knows that he's not DEFCON son.
Nobody knows.
Because at first I thought it was one of those secrets that Jukebox was alluding to, which she was having that conversation with Kanan about there are secrets in the family that you don't know about. Unless it's a lie that everybody in the family is carrying, I don't necessarily believe that the family even knows that DEFCON is not Kanan's father.
And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is about to be real petty, very petty. But I'm gonna tell you now, that's not. It may have happened, but that's not realistic. And I'm gonna tell you why. When motherfuckers pop up pregnant, the first thing niggas do is do the math.
Yep.
If she popped up pregnant at 15, the first thing, 16, whatever, the first thing niggas would have done was the math, and they'd have been like, "Wait a minute, if DEFCON went to jail in such and such day." Like if it was that easy for Detective Howard to do the math when all he knew was Kanan's date of birth, the people around her would have done the math. So maybe the family does know, but they don't know that, but they know Kanan don't know.
Well, beyond that,
I don't know, but
now that's taking it a little step further than where I was going with it, CP. But I was going back to DEFCON being gay. I felt like other people besides Rock would have known that.
Maybe not. It might have been suspected. It may have been suspected, and that's why he did need, like she said, a beard. And then the fact that she popped up pregnant, like she said, that just helped him even more so. Maybe people assume that he got conjugal visits. I mean, he was the man, and maybe people just assumed that he had ways of still, having relations with Rock. It could have been other things happened at that time. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you now. The first thing people do is.
And I guess Marvin wasn't as so on point as he is now per se, because I feel like Because look how long it took for him to put together what was going on with Jukebox. And I feel like you should have had way more questions
was on the
about
wall.
Jukebox. Right. You should have had
But I think he
more
did know.
questions.
I think he knew. I think he didn't accept it. I think it's just like with Nicole's mother. He knew. I think he just got confirmation. But I don't think he was I don't believe for a second that he didn't know. I think he didn't accept it. I think he didn't want it to be true. But I don't think for a second he didn't know.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that because I feel like Marvin just probably assumed that she was just a little tomboyish. And you know, Jukebox was a little introverted, so you know she kind of kept all her business to herself. And
I understand that.
And she wasn't really around. You know, her and Marvin don't really have a relationship.
No mind, probably.
Yeah, because they have a high and by type relationship. You know, you don't never really see him spend no time with her or take no time with her because you keep Lulu. I feel like the rest of the family knows, but he doesn't because Lulu keeps telling him, listen, you need to start being a father to your daughter. You need to start paying attention to your daughter. And even with Raquel, listen, I'm not Marvin. So I think Marvin is just so wrapped up with what's going on in his head in these streets that he wasn't just paying any attention to his daughter. And this is why she's so introverted because she don't feel like her father truly loves her. She don't even call him daddy. She called Marvin.
I get all of that. I still think Marvin
was
knew.
so disappointing. We'll get to that point. But so in the conversation, Kanan was like, listen, I can't be sitting here listening to no Smokey Robinson. And I'm finna go out here on the streets.
Right.
Hey, Smokey is my shit.
I was going to say, I love it. Listen, that's one of my favorite songs. I love that song.
But that just tells you Marvin is just old school from the way he dressed, the music he listened to. Marvin is just an old head. He old school. But I was like, God damn it, Kanan, you are responsible for what happens yet again. Damn it,
Kanan. He offered to go get the music. He offered to go get the music, though.
He did.
He did, but Marvin said no because Marvin took this as an opportunity to get in that girl room and plunder like he always do. He was looking for that, and that was a window and an opportunity for him to go in there. He started going through her things, and I mean, I get it. I mean, a parent does have a right to go through their children's room just to make sure that everything is on point or whatever. But you know, I don't know what it is. He goes through her room, but he found the tape. And he found the pictures. And he sat there, he put the tape in. And I feel like Kanan should have been on point when he came around and saw him watching the tape. But, you know, Kanan was just so excited about his mama calling for them guns that he put 20 on 10 that, oh, shit, Uncle Marvin see the tape between, whatchamacallit. He didn't even try to alert Jukebox or whatever that, you know.
He ain't give a shit.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit. So, he sat there.
But also remember, these were the days of cell phones. Like we don't even know if they saw each other for him to. I don't think I'm with you though. I don't think he even noticed it or it connected. But even if it had, other than Paige and Jukebox, I don't even know if there was a way for him to tell her. Like,
good point.
You know, he was with his mom. Remember, he had to go, and we saw it. From that point, he was with his mom, and then he was sent on his mission. So even if it had connected, which it didn't, I agree with y'all, it didn't. But even if it had, I don't even know if he would have had the opportunity to say anything to Jukebox.
And so, and he starts processing that moment. And so we get back to the police station. You see Burke, she's sitting there looking at all the dead bodies, where she's looking at the pictures, you know, the crime scene photos for Buck 20 and D-Wiz and all that. And Detective Howard comes in and they have a conversation. They kind of go back and forth, and he's like, listen, I know I've been a shitty partner, but, you know, I've been going through some personal shit. I'm trying to deal with it, you know, but I'm getting past it. And she's like, okay, cool, whatever. And then so she went ahead and says, I've been talking with Laverne Thomas. And he was like, well, what you talking to her for? You know, he just instantly, you know, get suspicious acting. Yeah. So, you know, if she had figured out some shit going on, you get her closer to figuring it out.
I was going to say, like, you told yourself for real.
Yeah, your reaction every time she mentioned something about
she even
Kanan.
said that. She said, what's up with you and this family? Like, like, what is it?
And so he go off on her, and he was like, I'm getting ready to go talk to the captain. I can't trust you. You can't be my partner no more. And he just storms off. And I'm like, yeah, she gonna figure this shit out. She definitely gonna figure this shit out. because she was like, why do you care so much about this family? Who are they to you or whatever? So, she's not stupid. He think that she's not paying attention to what's going on around him, but she even told him, like, you tell me a lot of things, but, I'm starting to see something different.
Right.
So,
but he underestimates her. Like, he doesn't respect her as a cop. And so he underestimates how smart she is. It's
he
like
doesn't feel like she's a threat. Yep.
Right, exactly. Exactly. He's underestimating her, and so that's a bigger threat than anything else. If you don't think that she's a threat, you're not even paying attention. And so yeah. But he definitely gave himself away. Like, his reaction was ridiculous. It was way over the top.
So the climactic scene, one of the climactic scenes for the night is Jukebox come home and Marvin mean ass sitting there in the damn room, don't tore the girl room up. Don't tore the girl room down, and he's sitting there looking mean as hell when she walked in the door. I already knew that this wasn't going to be a good conversation between the two of them. And he says, you some kind of girl faggot. And I'm like, this is your daughter, Marvin. This is your daughter, regardless of what's going on. He just started being offensive towards her. Like, who is this white girl? And where the fuck did she come from?
That's that old school mentality, though. Like, 2021 is well accepted. It's
no, it's
much,
not. No, it's
I wouldn't
not.
necessarily say it's well
it's
accepted,
not.
but
Listen,
I think that parents
in comparison to what it used to be
are not going to react like how he just did. Yes.
In comparison, yes, but let me tell you something. As somebody who deals with children all the time, you would be surprised. Like me and Chris was talking about this the other day. Like, I have students who have been put out the house in high school because their parents found out that they were gay. Like, that is, like, it still happens. It's still very, very much a thing. And Marvin's reaction, although it was extreme and it was out of pocket, it is not uncommon. It just isn't.
No, I don't think it's uncommon at all, but I just think that it's more so accepted now than it was back then.
Oh, it definitely is more accepted. Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, you're going to have more families that are inclusive than I think than not, but I just think that we are far from a point where it's accepted. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. So they start having a conversation about Nicole, and of course Marvin wants to blame this on her mama. Says this shit come from your mom's side of the family. They're a bunch of fuck ups and heathens and shit. I'm thinking to myself, y'all are drug dealers and murderers. Pointing fingers, maybe.
Right. I thought something was. But something, and this goes back to what I was saying about the whole religious thing. The first thing out of his mouth when he found out Nicole was dead was that was God's righteous path or God's righteousness or something. And I just thought that was weird. Like you said, out of all the shit that y'all do, that's where God is judging somebody. Like, you literally
going against his will.
Right. You literally shot up a school this morning. Like, nigga, you shot up a school.
A movie theater.
I thought they was coming out of a school. It was a movie theater?
Yeah, it was a movie theater.
Oh, damn, I got that wrong in my review because I thought that was a school. But whatever. You shot up a movie theater with, like, innocent people around, but the wrath of God was on Nicole because she was gay?
Because she was gay, yep.
But that's what took me back to that whole, that's why at the end, I went there with the whole religion thing.
Listen, when he said that shit, that she deserved to die because she was going against God's will, Jukebox couldn't take that. She spit in his face. Now that I'm sorry. I don't care how disrespectful he was to her, how wrong he is. At the end of the day, I don't even care the fact that that was his daughter, person to person.
Let me tell you something. I don't.
You're
do
not gonna spit in nobody's face.
I don't. I don't do the spit. I don't do the spit.
I would have rather her slapped him, raised her hand to hit him.
I don't do the spit.
No, but you're not gonna spit in my face. I don't care if you are my child.
You do the spit. It's on site every time I see you. For the rest
That's
of your
exactly
life.
what it was.
I'm telling you, I don't do the spit.
I'm sorry. I don't condone physical violence on children. But listen, you're a teenager. You 15, 16 years old. You smelling yourself a little bit. First of all, you talking to me crazy or whatever the case may be. You call me by my first name. You gonna spit in my face and you think I'm gonna let that ride? Marvin backhand the hell out of her ass. Marvin
he smacked the shit out of her.
He sent her fly across the room.
Shit out of her. It's not funny, but he smacked the shit out of her.
He did. I didn't expect he did. I told you this. I said, yo, I hope Marvin don't jump on this girl because I know that Marvin has a very bad temper. So I was like, I was afraid for what was going to happen to her. I knew he wasn't going to kill her, but he almost did.
Oh, he he almost did.
So they fighting and they struggling, and she kicks him.
And they was fighting for real. Like that wasn't no play. They was fighting.
Yeah, they were fighting, and Jukebox wasn't scared. I mean, she wasn't scared. She held on. She held on, but he told her, he's like, listen, you think you a nigga, but you don't fight like one.
Okay.
And then he snapped out of it because he was choking the shit out of her. When she was, I think they might have been okay until he stepped on that tape. When he crushed that tape.
Yeah, when he crushed the tape, that was it.
That was it. I think they might have could have got past that until he stumped on that tape. And he kept trying to throw her down on the bed and calm her down, but she was just enraged.
The spit kind of like was the reaction. The crushed tape was kind of like the reaction after the spit.
Yeah. They both did things to each other to kind of provoke them for what happens next. And Marvin started choking the shit out of the girl. He yoked her up against the wall. He choking her. I'm like, God, please don't let this be another Tommy and Holly. But I knew that he didn't end up killing her because Jukebox survives. Whatever. But he snaps out of it and he's like, oh shit, what have I done? This is my child, I felt bad
I think
for him.
It hit him. I
feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because I really do feel bad for Marvin, period, because he got left with this. His baby mom ran out on him. She was a hoe. She was hoe hopping. So he been in the streets. He been on the shit. He been in the streets. But at the same time, if you raise your little sister, your little brother, I don't necessarily think that you should have had any issues raising Jukebox. You had Raquel down there to help you with her. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel bad for him because he was left as a single parent to deal with, a teenage girl.
And Jukebox wasn't raised in an image though. So like Rock and Lulu was raised in the image and into the game. And
that's true.
Jukebox wasn't raised in an image, so that's
and
why
I also
like music shit and all that type of shit. So that's just the way I feel about that.
And it's also connected a lot to the parent. We see women do it a lot with the guy. They, if the guy broke their heart or the guy wasn't shit, unfortunately, a lot of times the kids get
the child
that.
suffers for
and
that.
I think that might be part of it with Marvin and Jukebox. I mean, one, we know that he missed at least a couple of years of her life when he was in jail, and two, we know that there's something with that mother. I mean, we're gonna get all of that story next season.
She broke his heart.
Right. And so when women can get their heart broken 5,000 times, but when a man get his heart broken, it's a whole nother level. And so it's like,
and it's a whole different level of hate. So I agree with you on that. CP. So I think he hates her for the mother. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. So I don't think it's so much that he couldn't be a good father, but I think part of him being checked out. And for all, I mean, we know because we know who's going to play her mother. But let's just for a minute forget that. For all we know, every time he looks at her, he sees her mother.
Yep.
So I know we're going deep with that, but there could be a lot of reasons
why
he's disconnected.
And he see her ways in the mother. Yep.
Right. There may be a lot of reasons why he's disconnected from Jukebox, and that he's never really been able to build a relationship with Jukebox. And then there also seems to be some resentment there. I don't know if Jukebox is angry with him because, again, kids see things from their viewpoint.
And she may blame him for why her mother's not around.
She may blame him for why her mom is not around, and she may also blame him for not being there when he was in jail. Like, she may blame him for those years that he wasn't around also. Because remember, not only was he not around, but her mother never came to get her. Like, she was living with Rock. And even though that was probably a great childhood because Rock, I'm sure, treated her like her own, it's still that question mark of, well, damn, don't neither one of my parents want me.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of layers
there. That probably explains why she's so cold-hearted and so introverted, is because she doesn't feel loved. She doesn't feel love. And the only person that she really felt love for was Nicole. And the second runner-up would probably be Kanan.
And Nicole understood her. Like, she didn't, like, even though they were as different as they were,
she didn't judge her for that.
She could give Nicole all of it.
Yep.
Because Nicole didn't judge her for who she was and what her family did and all of that. Nicole didn't judge her. I mean, I don't even know about the family part, but just about her, when she knew she was boosted. Like, Nicole didn't judge her. Like, all of that.
She just told her that she could do better for herself, and that's what I feel like anyone who truly cares about anyone, that know that you're on a path of on a wrong path. Anyone who cares anything about you is going to try to, to tell you to want better for yourself, to do better for yourself or whatever. I mean, that's a different type of love and concern versus her saying, well, my parents will never allow me to hang out with someone like you or whatever. She was non-judgmental. She was a safe zone for her.
Right.
And I think
absolutely.
the only other place where she felt safe in to be who she is possibly around Kanan, because she was even a little nervous about Rock last week when Rock saw her in that suit. And Rock had to reassure her that, I'm not Marvin. So, that kind of reassured her that, okay, my family got me. But of course,
which
her
also
biggest
tells
fear,
me that they know how Marvin felt about homosexuality too.
Yep.
Like for that to be the first thing, I'm not Marvin, which means
well,
that
it's not even the homosexuality, yes, but it's a little deeper than that. Where I feel like Marvin probably needs some counseling for what happened with him and his baby mama. I think there's a lot of mental scars that are there. With her, running off on him and being a hoe and all this and this and that. Marvin, this has allowed Marvin to be very resentful towards women. And look how he did with Tony D. She couldn't even cuddle with him. He went the fuck off on her. So,
that's true.
He just doesn't know how to deal with affection. And,
but he got offended then. Like, it was like, you saying I'm slutty. I know you didn't call me a faggot. Like, no, you didn't call me a faggot.
Yeah, because she wanted to cuddle with the man. So
yeah.
he has some deep-rooted issues that he needs to probably talk to someone about. And then on top of that, the way his family treats him and regards him. So I think that all this is contributing to Marvin's anger issues, is because he feels useless to everybody. His daughter don't got no use for him. The family don't really got no use for him. So he's a part of that anger was him lashing out. Look what don't happen to my brother. I just found out my child is gay. I mean, he's having a very bad day, and he took it out on Jukebox. But I'm not condoning.
Yeah, that's true too. He did have a lot on him too. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm not condoning what he did. I can just see how all that just kind of boiled up,
connects together.
Yeah, and it just kind of went off the way it did.
Fact.
But Jukebox, she gets up and she pulls herself together and she walks out the door, just like one thing I can't say about Jukebox is she's not weak. She's not weak. She's not frail. She's gonna stand on her own too. So I don't think that this is that moment. CP, me and you kind of went back and forth about this last night. I still don't think this is the moment where he puts her out. This may be that moment where he puts her out and she's now in the streets. But she's too young. I mean, if anything, she'll go stay with Rock now. I don't feel like he's getting ready to just put her completely out of the family.
But I think, that's what it is. But I think that's what it is. When you say, I don't think that's the point where he puts her out. She might go live with Rock. But the end result is the same. She don't live with him anymore.
I don't think that she's going to want to come back home.
But that's what I'm saying. He doesn't have the ability to put her out of the family. Like, if
that be the case, then we can't blame Marvin for that, because technically he didn't really put her out.
And that's actually what I was going to say. So if we go back to the narrative that we've always been told, did he really put her out, or did she leave?
Right, and never come back.
Now, granted, if my father just tried to kill me, I probably would leave too and would never want to come back. But technically, did he put her out? Technically. I don't know.
Well, we'll see how that happens next week.
We'll see how that plays out.
The reason why I feel like we're not at this moment yet, because the mother has to come into the play next season. So by the fact that they're bringing her mother around, I feel like there's still going to be some interaction between Jukebox and Marvin. I don't think that the impression I got.
Yeah, but I don't think she goes back home. I think she goes to live with Rock. I don't think she goes back home, because remember, Rock hasn't seen her yet either. Rock has not seen her. So
ain't nobody seen her. Yep.
Exactly. So again, I hear what y'all are saying, and I'm not saying that
I
I'm.
feel like she's going to stay with Bert for a couple of days before she would go back to
Oh
her family.
I don't think she can do
no.
that. I think it's an option, but I don't think she can do that, especially right now with things going the way they don't think she's a rat.
I think she gonna be living with Rock. I think all them niggas gonna be living with Rock because Lulu ain't got no way to live either. Lulu gonna be living with Rock. His house gone. I think all of them gonna be living with Rock ass.
Listen, I think they all gonna be staying in them apartments right now because I don't think nobody's house
All
safe
of them
to
gonna
stay
be up in
in.
them damn apartments.
Yeah, I don't think nobody's house is safe. You so stupid.
Oh, okay. I thought I lost y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It did go out for a minute, but we could.
So
Okay,
we get
good.
to the warehouse and we see Kanan and Rock there at the warehouse. And again, she's teaching him how to shoot, and she's teaching him basically, she's schooling him on what gun he needs to use to commit murders with. She basically told him about all these guns, how useless they are. He need to get a Glock. He need to get a Glock 17.
See, this where we need Marvin to give us the breakdown on the guns.
That's what we need our Marvin. Yep. But she pretty much gave him a lesson on, you know, how to hold the trigger, how to pull the trigger, how to handle the gun, and where to shoot him at. The most important thing that we got out of there was that she told him that when he get ready to go put somebody down, he needs to make sure that they stay down. 2 to the heart, and 1 to where they used to think.
Head. Right.
And we saw her marksman skills. I mean, shoot.
Yo, she on point.
She was on point.
Yeah. Man, what? The 40 bottle, the little 12-ounce bottle, the Pepsi bottle, she was taking that shit out.
Yeah, no kickback.
None. She was good. Like, listen.
And she was even on point when she put the gloves on to put the bullets in the clip. She was on point.
Yep.
She was on point. And in this moment, I feel like this whole monologue and this whole speech, she was preparing him for the kill. Like, she pretty much told him. She told him, listen, I got to depend on you. I'm your mother. But I need you to put this nigga down for me.
Yeah, I'm asking you to murder somebody.
She said, I'm asking you to walk up to somebody and put them on their back.
Yep.
And can you imagine what that must have done to her as a mother to have to ask her son to commit murder? Like, yeah, we are in this life, and like she said, I never wanted this.
And she told me, I wish you would have went to that school. Yep.
Right. She said, and I feel like it's because I knew this is what it would have come to. Like, I knew that it would have had to come down to me asking you to be a murderer. Like, it's one thing to sell drugs. We know that indirectly that kills somebody, but to straight up walk, he said, I need you to walk up
this
to
is murder.
him,
Yeah,
look him dead in his eye,
right
and pull the trigger. Like, yeah, premeditated and all of that.
At 15, yeah.
At 15,
At 15. If he was like 21 or some shit like that, okay, yeah, but he's a child. And look at all the mess that he's created with all the murders that he's been involved in now. And now you're asking him not only to go kill a cop, but his father. And this is where I get angry at. This is where I get angry at because I'm so fucking tired of them recycling this narrative, this story. We saw it with Kanan and Sean. We saw it with Tommy and Teresi. We saw it with Ghost and Tariq. I mean, come on. Can y'all be just a little bit more creative? I mean,
but I feel like this is the first time we've had a good reason, though. I feel like this is a good. I mean, when I say good reason, I didn't come out right.
A justifiable reason.
Yeah, because Tariq didn't have no good. Tariq didn't have no good as well. Yeah, but at that point, the damage was already done with Teresi. He had already snitched.
Yeah,
he had already snitched. Now he didn't already.
Yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand
that's
true.
What the code he had already snitched. You're right.
Yeah, I understand that that's what the code is. But remember, killing Teresi really only made the shit worse. Because the fact is, Teresi really hadn't given them a whole lot. He was giving them dirt on Ghost, not Tommy.
Well, getting rid of Teresi was more so for Ghost's benefit, not Tommy's. Because Ghost puppet mastered that whole thing that happened. So you're right.
Yeah, and I understand that that's the code. Like, he a snitch, he got to go. I get it. But so y'all are right about that. But I'm just saying, like, there was no real good reason for, for Tariq to kill Ghost. And I don't even remember why the hell they killed Sean. I mean, I remember him doing it, but I don't even remember why.
Because of this episode right here, Kanan felt like he wasn't loyal. He felt like he was loyal to Ghost. And when Sean came back and hadn't killed Ghost, that made Kanan mad. Kanan was mad. You not my son, you his son. So, and that's why
what it was. Okay.
Kanan was so motivated to make Tariq his new son. You know, I'm gonna take away. It's just like what Jukebox said. What did Ghost really take away from you? Well, what you really took away from me was my son. You know, not only did you take away my business, but you took my son away. So that was that whole narrative. And so you see Unique, he giving a little pep talk to his workers about how they own the streets. Yeah, it was so stupid. that shit was so stupid. You need to be trying to go find your new whip, Unique, because your shit shot up. He's sitting here giving them a little monologue about how they own the streets and how they at war, how they gonna go take care of Rock. She giving Kanan she gassing him up. She putting a full tank of gas in this boy head right now. And I thought at this moment when she said, I'm not going to lie to you anymore, I'm not going to keep the truth from you anymore, I thought she was going to say, the man I'm asking you to go kill is your father. And gave him a choice. At least gave him a choice. But when she was like, I'm your mama, do this for me, I was like, she's fucked up for that. She's definitely fucked up with that. But I guess she felt like that was the only way that she could deal with the threat was through him.
So and the question is, did she tell him? Because she said, I'm not going to keep any more secrets. I'm going to tell you the truth. Maybe, you know, we didn't see that. Maybe we didn't see that whole dialogue.
So you think
maybe
she told him off camera?
I don't know. But I think they left the door open. So if we need to do a flashback of it, then they can flashback of her actually telling him.
Yeah.
Or not. You know what I'm saying?
Him that
we
choice.
Don't know for sure. Right. At that point, we don't know for sure when he walked up on him if he knew that was his daddy. Because again, it didn't sound like Kanan didn't look shook when he started talking to him. Oh,
he just probably looked at it as this. I'm getting rid of 12. So I mean, he didn't need no other reason beyond that I'm getting ready to get rid of 12. You know, I think if it was anybody else, he would have probably been more reticent about doing it or hesitant about doing it. But the fact that she was asking him to go kill a police officer, I don't think it dawned on him that, you know, she has other ulterior motives for wanting him dead other than him being 12. So I think the fact that he was a cop made it very easy for Kanan to do it without question, because I'm getting rid of a police officer that's getting too close to me, you know. So we see Lulu wakes up finally, and Jessica, she laid out across his lap and everything. She was there. She was still there.
She was there when he woke up.
That I had an issue with that, because now in my mind, because he made that comment when he got up, where is everybody? He gonna think that his family didn't care nothing about him. They wasn't there, but in reality, his family had been there the whole time except for Marvin. Marvin was the only one that they didn't show that actually was, you know, there in the hospital room visiting with him, but everybody else had been up there to see.
But we know he went to the hospital though, so
yeah, he did go to the hospital. So I think that's going to draw him in closer to her and closer to him wanting to step out of life, because when he woke up and saw that she was the only one there, that sent a message. I don't care.
But I think it'll get cleared up next week. I mean, I think that was that. I woke up, I'm confused. I'm like, where the fuck is everybody? And I agree with you in that moment. That's probably how he's thinking. But that's gonna be cleared up in one conversation. Like, nigga, we was out revenging what the fuck happened to you. Like, I was here. Like, I don't think anybody will be able to dispute that everybody came up to the hospital. But you're right. You're right. If I wake up out of a coma and ain't none of my family there, I'm gonna feel some kind of way, you know.
Yep. And she was there to save the day. So part of me feels like maybe she does care. She's just so asphyxiated on wanting to make famous that she gets wrapped up in that. But maybe she do care about him. I mean, but at the end of the day, she's dating a drug dealer. And, you know, he's a money grab for her too. So, you know, I have to always think of that as her first, you know, concern, not necessarily about him.
I disagree, but okay.
But I could be wrong.
No, I think that I think that she didn't have a problem with him being a drug dealer, but I don't think it was because it was about what he could do for her until the music became part of it. Now, I do think that she sees Lulu as somebody to help out now that the music, like I definitely feel like she encouraged him to be more proactive with the music. I agree with that. But I don't think that was her. I don't think that was her motivation in the beginning. I think in the beginning she just liked him. I think she was attracted to him, and because remember they was flirting from the time they first met each other. I mean, so
and the fact that he threw her to the ground when Unique them crew came and shot up the place.
Yeah, I think from the beginning
shielded her.
Yeah, I think from the beginning it was a bond there. But I do think that as they got to know each other, and I think from the minute she saw that he had an interest in music, and when they went to the studio that day, and he knew the different equipment and stuff, I do think then it was like, okay, how can this help my brother? But I don't think that that's her only motivation. I think it's a motivation now, but I don't think that was like, oh, I'm gonna date this drug dealer so he can buy me some nice clothes and keep me looking good. I don't think that's it. But I could be wrong too.
I got it.
I could be wrong too.
So we see Jukebox. She run up over to the police station, and she meet with Berg outside, and she all banged and bruised up. And Berg even asked her, what happened to you? And she's like, I'm gonna be all right. And she's like, let me go get a car so we can talk. And right then and there, we see Rock's plan come to fruition. She pretty much goes to give Berg a warning that all you cops are in danger. I heard that since y'all got Unique's re-up, he's wanting revenge on y'all. He's gonna come after y'all. And she was like, well, how do you know this or whatever? She was like, why are you telling me this? She was like, I don't want to see nobody else get hurt. So we see the setup right there.
Yep.
So, that was pretty obvious. I don't think we have any other questions about why she went over there to do that. I think Rock sent her over there to do that because
absolutely Rock sent her.
Their conversation at the hospital, she was like, I police close.
Did we lose Damon?
Damon might be the one to sleep on us. And so we get to the church. Now, this is where like I was saying earlier, I felt as though the whole reason of them showing us Rock at church wasn't necessarily the whole mama scene, because up until this moment, we didn't even know the lady that she was sitting next to was a mama. I think she was there really just kind of like thinking about what am I getting ready to do. Now, I don't know why she went to church with a red dress on, but
why you can't wear red to church? That's a rule.
Well, she just stood out. It brought a lot of attention to her. So
I think it was supposed to be. I think that was more for the cinematology.
That's what I kept trying to tell myself that too. Or were they giving us some type of Easter egg with that? Because she obviously went to change her clothes and, she's dressed in all red. It stands out. So I'm
right, because at first I thought she was there setting up an alibi, but then I was like, ain't nobody about to believe that her ass was up in church while the streets was getting shot up. So I said, it must be deeper than that. It must be deeper than that.
Yeah, and to me, now, it could be a combination of all three. It could be that she is trying to establish an alibi. It could be that she truly is there, remorseful about what she just asked her son to go and do, and she's trying to make peace with it, just like she was at the chapel. She told Marvin, I'm asking for forgiveness for what I'm about to do. So maybe this is her pursuit to still try to get that forgiveness. She's trying to make peace with what she just asked herself to do. But then with the exchange between her and her mama, and I'm sorry, I felt like the parents weren't around anymore. I guess just going after Marvin's conversation, it was they did very good with that, because I was left to assume that the parents weren't around anymore, and the fact that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, but I was just gonna say the thing that threw me off with it. Yeah, I felt like the parents weren't around anymore, but who's the grandmother? Going back to the first episode where whose mother are we talking about? Are we talking about DEFCON's mom? Or
I guess we're talking about her mama. I guess we're talking about her mama.
Then that throws me honestly that throws me off, because I got the impression, and maybe that's why she never sent Kanan to go live with her mother, because it was like, she my mom and I love her and I'm gonna always take care of her. But I don't want my son to be raised like I was raised. Like, I don't know. Maybe now that explains why she never sent her.
I got a little bit of Patrice Woodbine vibes from the mama.
Right.
I feel like the mama was out there on something, whether because part of me even feels as if maybe she was tricking Rock off at some point. Either she was on drugs.
Right, because she was like, "You're not gonna put none of that on me. Like you are you are the reason why you are the way you are." And it almost was like she didn't want to take no responsibility for nothing.
Or either she was tricking her off, or either she was so fixated in the church that she didn't pay no attention to her children, and the streets end up eating them up. So it's a combination. It's one of the three. But the fact that she was so adamant about, you're the reason why you turned out the way you are. Don't blame me and stop asking me questions or whatever. She gave a little Patrice Woodbine vibes. So
yeah, she absolutely did. That's why I said that scene kind of threw me off, and I'm not sure. I really feel like they laying the foundation for something for next season.
They are laying the foundation
because they left.
I don't know if it's for next week or next season, but they definitely gave us an Easter egg with that mom
yeah,
and
because
her
they definitely
exchange.
opened up a whole new set of questions right there, right here, the next to last episode. Like it's like, why bring all this up now?
Well, and it also kind of speaks to what she became, because it seems like the mama knows exactly what she turned out to be, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, how did she become this? How did she become this way? And then for us to hear that Marvin raised her and Lulu, there's got to be something that the parents, or the mama in particular, for a mother and a daughter not to have a close relationship, there's something there with that. There has been some type of turmoil. There's been some type of issues that's happened between them, or whatever the case may be, that's kind of pushed Rock to be where she is right now. And the mom doesn't feel responsible for it. She wants to blame the child for it. So I definitely agree that they're showing us something here. And I don't know exactly to figure out what they've showed us here, but I just feel like I'm looking at P-Valley, Patrice Woodbine, and Mercedes, mama and daughter type relationship that's getting ready to unfold before us. And then she ran over there to the table with the rest of the churchgoers and tried to act like everything was all good. So, and it could just be that, the mama is saved now. She all churchy, and she don't condone the way Rock lives her life anymore. So, it could be a combination of that, where the mama might have been part of the life. The family might have been always part of the life. And now that, family don't ran and got saved, I'm high up in the church. I'm going to look down on what my children are. And the fact that she didn't mention anything about Lulu being in the hospital, and she didn't ask about Marvin, she didn't ask about Kanan, she didn't ask about any of the family.
It was a lot with that. It was a whole lot with that.
Yeah, the fact that she didn't ask the other family just made it seem as if it was just, her only child. The fact that, her whole family is out here in the life, it's not just a Rock situation. It's more of a Marvin situation than anything. Rock's the middle child. So how is she responsible for, the things that are happening with the family? So yeah, that mama ain't right. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, definitely more questions than answers with that scene.
Yep.
And it just seems so out of place with everything else going on in this episode. Like you said, unless there really is something that we're going to need to know for next week. It was kind of like, I was really sitting there like, why would they put this in here? Like, why would they throw this in here? It's got to be something. I don't know.
Maybe it's the alibi. Maybe we're just reading too much into it because they're showing us.
Maybe it's as simple as just being her alibi.
Yeah, maybe that's what we're supposed to be seeing.
Because we know that she goes to church regularly because her mother said you haven't been here in a while, which leads me to believe that it's not out of the norm for her to go to church. Just lately, she hadn't been at church.
Because she even asked her, she said, Raquel, what's going on? Something going on. She said, you up here for a reason. What's going on?
She did say that. Yeah, she did say that. So maybe it was just the alibi. Maybe that's exactly what it was.
Maybe that's what it was. So we see Marvin. He don't got him a Porsche. Now, I don't know where Marvin get these cars from. I'm assuming that he gets them from a chop shop.
But my question is, if your ass could get a Porsche, why was you riding around in that shot up ass damn car?
Marvin get a car just like you. He changed his socks. I mean, I don't understand where Marvin get all these cars from. Maybe they got a local chop shop that he go to, because I don't understand where Marvin get all these expensive ass cars.
Because I know he ain't going to the dealership buying these damn cars. Like he must just have, like you said, he got a plug somewhere.
Yeah, he got a plug. So you see Kanan out on the block, and I'm assuming that Raquel has given him instructions to put the jacket on, but it kind of was stupid for him to put the jacket on to go shoot Detective Howard, because Detective Howard says that ain't your jacket. So what was the whole point of having him put the jacket on?
That's the part that threw me off too, because I felt like, one, like you said, I felt like that was supposed to be Lulu, and Lulu was supposed to kill Detective Howard and make sure he was seen running away from the shooting and seeing the Unique's jacket. But like you said, the fact that he put the jacket on, and like you said, Detective Howard was like, yo, that's not your jacket. And I think that's the moment that Detective Howard knew what was up, because he knew whose jacket it was. It just, I don't know. I'm with you. That whole, it was weird.
Okay, so
I don't
a couple
know.
things I get from that with the jacket. The jacket could be, and I don't know how in depth we were with forensics back in the 90s, but I mean, at the very least, there could be gun residue on the jacket, blood splatter, whatever.
Right.
I guess they're trying to make it seem as though Unique killed him.
Did it?
It would have been different if Kanan would have shot him from the back, and all Detective Howard saw was him running away and saw it was Unique's jacket. That would have worked.
Right, and that's what I was thinking. Because my thing is, somebody has to see him in that jacket,
and someone has to know that it's Unique's jacket. Just because someone sees him,
well, it say Unique on the back.
Yeah, well, it do say Unique big as day on the back, but
I mean, it says Unique on the back.
and
that's why
Detective
I said
Howard,
that I guess he was supposed to be seen in it, you know.
Detective Howard should have knew what was up then when he said that ain't your jacket.
I think that's exactly when he knew what was up.
But we saw that Kanan didn't follow. Once again, Kanan did not follow directions. First of all, he was supposed to give him 2 to the heart and 1 to the head. He didn't do it. So here's my question. Is Detective Howard going to die, or is he going to survive?
He gets to the hospital, that much I know.
Do you think he dies at the hospital? Do you think
I don't know if he dies.
Do you think he gives up? Well, we know he doesn't give up Kanan, because Kanan didn't do no time for killing the cop. So you think he's going to actually give up Unique, even though it wasn't Unique?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because it looks like in the preview for next week that he was trying to say something. So I'm asking myself, is he going to die at the hospital, like in surgery? Or is he going to keep this narrative going? Because she did tell him to get rid of Unique. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because I'm very surprised it would kill his character off first season.
You've been saying that all season, but I'm not. Honestly,
it's the star power
did.
for me. It's the star power.
But it's not the star power. What star power?
Dragging Omar Epps.
No, it's not. It's no disrespect to Omar Epps. Omar Epps is a well-known actor. That's not what I'm saying. But like, ain't nobody watching. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. Ain't nobody watching this just because Omar Epps is on the show. Like, it's great to see him. I'm glad he's working. But ain't nobody say, "Oh shit, Omar Epps, I gotta catch that." Like, ain't nobody doing that.
Yeah. Because I'm following their formula from other series. Because if that was the case, they would have got rid of Lorenz Tate. He's not just playing a role. He's playing a role that's centered around his star power. I'm sorry. You may feel like it's not a star power, but I feel like because it's Omar Epps, they're treating that character that he's playing a lot differently than they would anyone else that was playing it. I'm sorry. I
disagree.
I feel like that's exactly what they're doing. I feel like, just like in Power, I feel like they should have went ahead and let Rashad Tate die in his episode, and we should have been done with him. That should have been it. We should not be getting a whole spinoff with Rashad Tate. Rashad Tate was only in Power for 1 season. His character wasn't important enough to the story for him to get a whole spinoff. Now, Kanan, I understand getting a spinoff. Tommy, I understand getting a spinoff. But Rashad Tate was a C-list recurring character that showed up every once in a while in the episode
So wait a minute, hold up. So you think Lorenz Tate is a C-list, but you think Omar Epps is A-list?
No. I didn't say he was a C-list. I'm talking
Oh.
about the character that he was playing was a C-list character.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily him being a C-list actor. What I'm saying is Rashad Tate was not an important character to the story of Power, is what I'm saying. Now, you had
No, he wasn't. No, he was very important to the story. He was very important to the story.
He was running for governor. That was it.
No, but he was important to the story as far as a lot of the twists and turns and moves that he made. I think when I say very important, I mean, could we have lived without him? Sure. But was he very entwined in the storyline for while he was on the show? Yeah, he was. Now, do I think he needs a spinoff? No. But I don't think that his character was in consequential.
Yeah, I disagree with that because I feel like Detective Howard character was is more of an important character than Rashad Tate's character was in Power, and I feel like it's too soon to kill him off. There's more story that could be told around that character than it could have been with Rashad Tate. I mean, I feel like for that reason that they wouldn't kill his character off this soon when there's so much more story they could tell around that particular character. But we'll see what happens. But I don't necessarily think I don't think that he dies next week.
I don't think he dies next week either. I definitely think that we're going to see him next season.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Is what I'm saying. Like I don't.
If they do kill him next week, I'll be very irritated with this whole time that we spent with this whole bone marrow and this whole uncovering of. I just feel like if they were going to kill his character off like they did Romere's in book 2, kill him, get rid of him. He served the purpose for a couple episodes and gone about our business. But, we spent too much time developing the character just to kill him off, unless the story that they wanted to tell was this is an endless cycle of sons killing their fathers. If that's the narrative that they're trying to push, then I can understand. But if that's not the narrative that they're trying to push, then I would be very irritated that we spent this much time on a character that they killed off in the season finale. But then again, it's time for somebody to start dropping. So we'll see.
I was going to say, I don't think it would be a waste. Like, I don't think every character arc has to be deep and profound. I think some character arcs are just there to give us some
to
information.
Push the story forward. But because of who he is, that's why I have an issue with it. Because he ends up being Kanan's father is what I have an issue with. And I guess I'm going to be at the same problem I had with Tariq killing goes. I feel like it was unwarranted. I feel like it was unwarranted that, and we saw where he was truly, whereas I felt like Tasha manipulated Tariq into killing Ghost. We see here that Rock 100% manipulated her son to kill his father unbeknownst to him. So,
and maybe that is what the point is. Like you said, to just show that this is just a constant theme. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we'll see. All right, so next week we got our season finale, and it's going to be lit. I know it's going to be lit. Can't wait for season 2. Just been very pleased with this show. Very pleased with the writing, even though some of it has been a little bit predictable. Especially in the last 5 episodes or so, we've really been on our A game with predicting what we think was going to happen, and it just came to fruition. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens next week. Next week, I think it's going to be one shall stand, one shall fall. So I think Unique's going down next week. I don't know how, but
I have a prediction, but we'll see. I guess.
Go ahead. Let me hear it.
I think Juliana's people gonna come through.
Oh, you think Juliana people gonna come through? Wreck shop?
Yeah. Like, who else is left? Like, who is out there to help Rock?
Well, we get Scrappy back next week. We get Scrappy back next week.
Yeah, we do get Scrappy back next week.
And we get Lulu back next week.
We do get Lulu back. But Rock needs help. Like, Rock needs some help
for real, because she ain't got no workers.
She ain't got nobody. Poor thing.
Unless we start getting introduced to some of these new characters. And I feel like we're probably going to get some new characters. She's probably going to get some new workers, because we started to see them pop up slowly but surely in every other episode. Just like the driver came out of nowhere all season. All of a sudden now she has a driver that's supposed to be a bodyguard or whatever. So maybe she do get some more workers next week. But it would be dope to see if Juliana people come through, because she need her work. So it'll be dope to see if they come through and help her get rid of Unique, but I think that killing Unique is too easy. I think she really do want to set him up on some charges. So
it'll be interesting to see if it comes through.
Yep. All right, as usual, you know where you can find us at. Our social media.
I think we lost Damon.
Yeah, we lost Damon, so we're gonna have to wrap up this episode as always. The two old faithfuls. We had a no call, no show today, and then we lost Damon. So we'll catch y'all next week. We'll be around.
All right.
Peace.
So if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app and go to Anchor FM to get started.
You are now listening to TSF Entertainment Podcast.